Cowboys at Lions tonight. Both teams got a full week's rest because they played.
Lions are now 3.5.
Dude, moving the line. Moving the line.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Features two of the most potent offenses in the league. Okay, here's
want to win.
This season. Dak's on the road. Jared Goff's at home. Yeah, Dak is touchdown interception is still pretty good, but Jared Goff at home has a little bit of a.
Numbers are better across the board.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wonder if that Broncos game screws them up. Which quarterback do you trust more, Dak or Goff? And you guys wanted to talk about the line moving in favor of the Lions.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, on that, I'm surprised. And I
am too.
And listen, you got to bet minus 120 to take Dallas.
Yeah.
It was 3.5. So, I mean, they're incentivizing you to go the other way. But Detroit is really hurt. I'm just surprised that it's moving in their direction with the number of weapons that are hurt on Detroit. Dallas is clearly playing better than Detroit right now. And I think the coolest thing about tonight's game.
Stats?
We can get to some stats if you want. Tonight actually feels like the first playoff game of the year. This feels like the first. I don't think it's. I know you tried to yesterday say that Dallas could go 4-1 and make the playoffs. You just are more down on Philly than I am. I don't think we can talk about the loser of this game making the playoffs after tonight's game. This is a de facto elimination game. The Athletic playoff predictor will have the loser of this game around 10, 11% to make the playoffs. So not 100% eliminated, but it feels like a playoff game. And I picked the Lions to go to the Super Bowl before the year. I think we've got Goff v. Dak's numbers. We talk about Dak like he should be in the MVP conversation, the All-Pro conversation. Goff's been awesome.
Numbers are better.
Goff's numbers are spectacular, and in rating and touchdown interception ratio, they're actually better. Points per game, they're identical. But I still think that given the injuries that Goff is dealing with the guys he's trying to throw to, Jamison Williams is likely going to be his number one tonight, and the role that Dak's on, I think you have to trust Dak more tonight.
Well, here's what I say about the numbers, because you're right. I mean, I have Dak third on my MVP ballot, Bruce ballot. Don't have Goff on there at all. But how many of the voters, because a lot of the voters are at covering a team and at one game on Sunday, and they may not see all the Lions games. If you just look at the numbers, you're likely going to put Goff ahead of Dak in voting. If you watch the games, Dak is more impressive than Goff is, and because Goff feels like he's just orchestrating and other guys are making the plays. He's just getting it to the playmakers. And Dak has great playmakers, but he still seems like the engine that's driving them. But look, Dak, people are forgetting Dak in big games has not been great. And I'm specifically talking about playoff games. But as the expectations rise, and you said this was a playoff game, as the expectations rise, Dak has not been as great. And even in these last two games when he's played well, he has thrown a pick.
He has started slow.
And, he
has started slow in both games and then got rolling.
Yeah, and so I'm going to put it this way. I trust Dak's supporting cast more because of the injuries in part. Look, he's got two great receivers. The running game is solid. So I think Dak, I'll go with Dak. I'm going with the Cowboys. In part because of Dak, in part because of his weapons.
I think Dak's a better player than Jared Goff, but I expect Goff to outplay him tonight. And that is because I think the Lions at home, unless the opposing team has a great pass rush, they're just able to deal. And I think your illustration about Goff's numbers at home speak to that. On the fast track, and I understand the Cowboys' defense has improved. I do not think it is an elite defense by any means. And I respect what Quinnen Williams has added to the defense and Overshawn. And I know they're doing this 5-down lineman that just bedeviled the Eagles a couple weeks ago. And the Chiefs moved the ball, obviously, pretty consistently. Philly moved the ball really well for a half and then did a total Philly thing of like, okay, we're done playing offense for the day. Yeah, so I'm not – and the only other game they have played since the trade deadline was against the Raiders, who, again, despite some really smart people believing in them and Ashton Genty, it turns out they're not very good. I also do – this is the fuzzy analytics that I care about, or I guess the fuzzy analysis. I feel like Detroit, this is their first desperate spot of the season, and I expect them to respond because it's at home and because I do think they missed the coordinators. I said that going into the year, I expected that. But what Dan Campbell brings, as well as any coach in the league, is motivation. It's the culture stuff you're always talking about. I expect him to have his team ready to play on a full week, even though it's a Thursday, because they both played last Thursday. And I think they will be able to take advantage of a back end of Dallas that is still very susceptible. We saw that last week when Kansas City did it, and I think we've seen it over the course of the year.
But if you think that Dak is better than Goff, totally reasonable, and that Goff is just a point guard who gets the ball into the playmakers' hands and then they make the plays. If two of the best playmakers are not playing tonight, why do we trust Goff more?
Well, because
obviously we don't know on Amon-Ra.
Right, but so Amon-Ra's a question mark, but let's assume he's out for the sake of your question.
Yeah.
I still think the best player in this game is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes.
And I think Jamison Williams, while I don't think I'd want him dog sitting for me, is a dynamic player. You can be a little silly, but he's a big play guy. Right. He's a big play guy that doesn't have to catch a ball 40 yards downfield to take it 40 yards. So I also don't. It doesn't feel to me like. Are we going to look at the 2025 NFL season? And this would be a weird question to ask, but if we're asked, like, hey, who had the best month of football of anybody, or who had the best 3-game stretch of any team in the league? And we're going to say the Cowboys. The Cowboys clipped Philly, Kansas City, and Detroit in a 11-day stretch.
But a lot of
teams
people
that are going to miss the playoffs.
Right, a lot of people will looking back, they'll say the Chiefs and the Lions didn't even make make the playoffs. You know what I mean?
And
so
Philly was in a free fall,
right?
According to some
people.
Yeah. I think we are a touch prisoners of recency bias with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
6 quarters ago, they were dead in the water. Their season was over. It had made no sense that they traded for Quinnen Williams. They were getting blasted by their divisional rival to end their year. Mm-hmm. That's where it was. And then, is that the Jalen Hurts threw the rare interception, right? Mm-hmm. It was against Dallas. They had a fumble. Dallas has the great comeback. Mm-hmm. And then they win a classic against Kansas City. And now we expect them to go on the road to Detroit and end the Lions season. I would just be surprised by it.
Wildes, do you hate the analysis of this as like a playoff game? Because I think this game and Chiefs-Texans, to me, are the first 2 playoff games of the season.
No, with the loss, the Cowboys go down to 9%, and with the loss, the Lions go down to 12%, courtesy of the Athletic Playoff Predictor. The thing that I disagree with everybody is the Lions were S-Bob. They were like, this is our chance, our window, whatever it is. I think the Cowboys are just like, it's kind of a rebuild year. We traded Micah. We've got picks. And they have sort of stumbled into this inspired
that's not
football.
the case.
But I don't think Dak has any. Dak doesn't look like he's playing under pressure.
Oh, I agree with that.
So are you saying now tonight he's going to be?
No,
he's saying they're on a
he's better
roll.
when he. Well, that's a pro Dak point to me.
Yeah,
because I think that's when he's at his best.
No, I think they're playing free, and I think this is. I don't know if I'm good enough at television to do this properly.
Yeah, you are, buddy.
But I'm being totally serious. I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
You can change.
Leave him alone. Go ahead.
You guys are jerks, and now I screwed it up for real.
Go ahead.
I think it sounds weird to have it talk about a game preview. I think this team has rallied from a tragedy and really pulled themselves together, and they're playing inspired football. And I don't want it to be like a game analysis, a tragedy to be game analysis. I think has a risk of sounding obtuse. But when you watch the team play, I do think there's some real inspired football, and that team was always felt disparate. Different guys going in different directions, and the team feels unified. The locker room feels unified. They feel rallied, and I don't think it's totally random. So I don't know. That's why I'm saying I don't think I'm good enough to do it.
What you're saying is
gracefully.
I think you did great, and I think that's. I think that is a totally legitimate point that you have to say as delicately as you did, or else it seems like you're taking. I've heard some folks who it feels like they're making the tragedy like a bonus to why the Cowboys turned it around, and that's not what you're trying to do. But I also think that is also not an endless well. You know what I mean? Like that is there is only whether they were playing desperate or not, whether they did rally together due to the unspeakable tragedy for Marshawn Nealand, whatever it is, at some point those things stop mattering as much as in the moment, and it's just the two teams lining up. And I just think a desperate Detroit Lions team at home that knows if we lose, our season's over, coming off a game that they feel like they did not play well in, you're going to see the best version of them. And the Lions, to kind of your point about them all year, the Lions, when they have been rolling, have looked awesome.
They have.
Even this year. And now it hasn't been as often as years past, but that was that's their high watermark.
That was their rally beat Ben Johnson game. But I think if there's a good chance that we come on tomorrow and we'll be like, turns out Dan Campbell was right, that there's no guarantee to get back here, and they really missed the coordinators, and the Jets aren't doing well, but the Bears are the #1 seed in the NFC, and the Lions are looking toward next year.
Because this combats what you're saying, Nick. Last week, division rival, Packers, who beat us in game, they obviously didn't want to get swept by the Packers, and they know they needed that game for the playoffs, and they. But
I think the difference is, I think the Packers have more.
They're a better team.
Right. The Packers defense has so much talent, and Micah was so great in that game. Yeah. And even that game, it came down to Green Bay going for a 4th down late to ice the game. And so, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think the Lions win tonight.
Well, I have a good news for you. 3/4 of the NFL season is over, so we're moving into the 4th quarter, which means it's time to look at this guy who's fighting for his playoff life. Let's see where he ends up on Quarterback Quarterly.
Oh, I like that graphic.
Yeah, it's not bad, right?
How'd Caleb get on there?
Well, that's my graphic. My Quarterback Quarterly report. We do it every 4 weeks. Our first category, we sound the alarm on J.J. McCarthy, Cam Ward, Geno Smith, Jackson Dart, and Tua. Tua, $56 million cap hit for next year.
Yeah.
Not good. Jackson Dart doesn't seem to want to protect himself. Geno Smith, $100 million investment going awry. Cam Ward, I just don't see much, and there's already been a fired coach situation. I hope it.
Which of his 7 touchdowns are your favorite?
You got to look at that end zone. Look at that end zone cam.
I know.
He's making throws.
You got to squint real hard. And then J.J. McCarthy's going to be in a quarterback battle next year at best. Man. A category of 1 of 1. Shedeur Sanders. I don't get how everyone talks about him. It's a story that befuddles me. He is a 5th-round pick who is playing poorly by any metric. And next year, best case scenario, he enters camp for a bad team in a quarterback competition where he is not favored to win it. That is the best case scenario for Shedeur Sanders. And I am rooting for him because I think people have gone completely insane on how they discuss this guy. But we don't talk about anyone else like we talk about Shedeur Sanders. So he is 1 of 1. Waiting for next year. Here's the list. It's 3 teams, the Saints, the Falcons, and the Jets. No clue what they have at quarterback. Penix may be the most optimistic of the team situations there for Atlanta. Joe Burrow, too little too late, wasted year with injury. Jaden Daniels, the same thing. Kyler Murray, the same thing. All of those teams are going to run it back with their guys, obviously in terms of Burrow, Daniels, and Kyler, but you don't really know.
Oh, I don't agree with you on Kyler. I think Kyler is done with that team.
I think that it's going to be an interesting what market develops for him to go elsewhere. But there is odds against you, the last one on page 1 of the Quarterback Quarterly report. Bryce Young and Jared Goff. Both guys are having good stretches. Bryce has won 6 of his last 9. Goff, we just showed the numbers. The NFC is going to have 2 or 3 teams with really good wins, with really impressive stretches of the season that are just going to miss the playoffs. And I think the Lions and Panthers are going to fall into that boat. But now we get to the main page of the Quarterback Quarterly report for Q3. No time for excuses. All these guys are injured. Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Herbert. Broken legs, broken hands, and whatever you think is going on with Lamar Jackson. But all of those guys, Herbert, Lamar, Daniel Jones, they think they're going to make the playoffs. The Steelers are an underdog, obviously, to make the playoffs at this point. But if they're playing at this point of the year, you can't make excuses for the injury. But clearly, if you're watching any of them play, they are hobbled at best. This is maybe the most interesting category to me. the winning but waiting category. That's C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence, and Brock Purdy.
What a group.
It's a weird group.
Yeah.
All in the playoffs right now, all teams winning, but winning in spite of their quarterback. The Broncos have 5 wins with Bo Nix with a quarterback rating under 85. Jalen Hurts just not playing well at all, but they are still winning, and they could be the 2 seed in the NFC. My Bears are the 1 seed in the NFC with Caleb Williams with a completion percentage under 60. C.J. Stroud, if he could just be mediocre, their defense is good enough for them to win a Super Bowl. It's just a lot of teams that are going to the playoffs, and they're waiting for their quarterback to string together some good football. Legacy-altering opportunity. Jordan Love, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. I think Baker's going to make the playoffs. He should make the playoffs.
Stop it.
Panthers are coming up behind him. But obviously none of those guys have a ring. They've all been paid. But the Packers absolutely think they can win a Super Bowl. Seahawks, Bills, those 3, maybe there's some doubt about Tampa, but they were your pick, so I felt like we could include them here. Any one of those guys in a wide-open NFL gets hot at the right time. Also, some streaky players. They get hot at the right time. They put a ring on their finger. Changes how we talk about them forever. And then the last group, MVP candidates, the legit guys, Stafford and May. MVP caliber, Mahomes and Dak. The caliber quarter, I don't think they've got any shot to win the award, but they are playing like MVP winners. Mahomes, the numbers may be lagging just a little bit behind, but it's the 2nd overall passing offense in the league. He's top 7 in a ton of categories that matter. Obviously, we've talked a ton about Dak, and then most people think it's a 2-horse race with the MVP candidates of Stafford and Drake May. That is how I grouped the quarterbacks after the 3rd quarter heading into Q4 of the season.
Wow, that was impressive. I'm shocked you have Mahomes in MVP caliber. I think he's playing well, but I don't think he's playing at an MVP level. Because their defense isn't nearly as bad as the Cowboys or the Bengals last year.
No running
He's
game.
playing
His
well.
defense is getting no takeaways. I just don't look at him as being the problem.
No, he's not the problem by any stretch, but I just don't think he's playing at that level. But I was going to focus on your winning but waiting category. The one guy I don't think belongs in there is Jalen Hurts. Like, everybody else in that list is unproven for the most part. He's proven. He's won. You don't question Jalen Hurts. People do, but he's won a Super Bowl, been to 2 and played great in both, won the Super Bowl MVP. And even this year, he's not the problem, I don't think. The problem is the offensive line. The problem is no running game. His numbers are actually better than they were last year. His passer rating is slightly better, essentially the same, but it's a career high for him. And he had 18 touchdown passes last year in 15 games. He's got 19 touchdown passes already this year in 12 games. He had 5 interceptions last year. He's only got 2 this year. So his numbers are better. I think he's playing better than he did last year. I just don't think, I don't think they have any run game. If Saquon Barkley was running for 120 yards a game, I don't think we'd be thinking about Jalen Hurts.
So,
you think A.J. Brown agrees that Jalen Hurts is playing better this year than last year?
Last 2 games, he's fine with it because he's getting his catches and his yards.
So, listen, I agree with you that you could put him in the legacy category because if he were to win back-to-back Super Bowls, it wouldn't really matter how well he's been playing. I disagree that he's been. I think he's been part of the problem.
He is.
See,
last year, did he play that much better last year? His numbers weren't better.
The offense didn't seem as dysfunctional. And maybe it's just the running game piece. But I have a different problem with someone in that category. Brock Purdy should not be in that category. He should be in the no time for excuses category. Because we have seen, first of all, you can also, if they're all dinged up, he's been dinged up. I wasn't even thinking of that corollary. But it's also, the Niners have overcome so much this season already, and they have seen proof of concept. This offense can cook with Mac Jones. They expect to be in the playoffs, and no one's going to want to hear, because Brock Purdy, I know we did talk about him, Brew, when he threw the 3 picks 2 weeks ago. We didn't talk about him much this week, but he wasn't great in their game this week.
But I thought he was good.
He was
good.
To me, he was certainly better than the 3-pick game, and we could. But if the Niners' offense scuttles, I think people are going to point to him because McCaffrey's been great. We've seen it work with Mac Jones, and I also think I don't think it is a guarantee that we don't see Mac Jones again this season. And so that's why I'm going to put Purdy in the no time for
Wildes said last week, Myles Garrett is going to terrorize Brock Purdy, and Mac is going to be in that game. And
that did happen.
What happened? You remember he said that?
You convinced me that Myles Garrett was going to have a big game. He had 1 sack.
That's where Purdy was. He was
more
great
mobile
against
than I
the Browns.
expected.
That's
Drew,
what your
didn't
boy
he throw
can.
for like 140?
But it was. I have high respect for the Browns defense. To run 4 touchdowns, throw 4 touchdowns.
Thanks for hanging out with Frenemies. We begin in Nick's hometown of Kansas City, where the Chiefs need to get back on track, get above 500 on the year. Of course, we've seen this story before, with the Chiefs team having to power through the wild card round. Never did we have to see if they could even make the wild card round. Of course, is that guy, Patrick Mahomes, enough to get your squad back on track?
I don't think he's enough by himself in this game. I think that the offensive line injuries paired with the defense they're playing means that the offense is going to have a ceiling in this game, even if Patrick is as brilliant as he was on Thursday, and I thought he was a 9.8 out of 10 on Thursday against Dallas.
Great as well.
But he's not going to be able to have those types of numbers. But I want to throw a curveball at you because I've been waiting to do this all week.
Good.
Because you've just been saying as an aside, as if it is the die is cast. And the Chiefs are not going to be in the playoffs. And the Chiefs are missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
Why are you so sure of that?
Because of this matchup in particular and the Broncos one that's coming up.
But
it's very simple. Like, what you have said a lot this week is that you think there is a real ceiling on their offense because of the offensive line injuries.
This week, I think there is. Yeah, right. The offensive line injuries are not season-ending.
But going up against this pass rush. Well, that is totally founded by the stats.
Yes.
Right? When Patrick Mahomes is pressured, and we can show it to you, when he gets pressured 10 or more times, they're 2-4. Less than 10, he's undefeated. The Texans, they're averaging 12 pressures a game. Doesn't that sound a lot like the Justin Herbert analysis? But in terms of Justin Herbert, he's had 10 different guys start on his offensive line. He gets pressured and he's running for his life.
Yeah.
And it's hard for one player to overcome that.
Sure.
But a great quarterback does his absolute best to do it.
Yeah.
And so, given those number of offensive line injuries and that Mahomes can't do it all by himself, I just don't see them running the table in this spot.
Right, but so here's the thing. They don't need to run the table in this spot. They need to beat the Houston Texans.
But they need to run the table to make the playoffs.
Well, and again, you and I keep saying that. All those playoff predictors seem to think if they can make the playoffs at 4-1 as long as they win the next two. If that they can afford the loss to the Broncos and still be like 55% to make it, but they can't lose to the Texans or the Chargers because those teams they're competing with. But here's I guess why I'm surprised you've been so definitive they're dead. Because you, more than anybody I know, loves to be like, well, Vegas says they're winning this weekend. And you love that.
Love Vegas,
and
no question.
They are favored in every game the rest of the way.
Right, but Nick, you've also said many times, like if we're going to because we know each other's debate and analysis so well, and I can't wait to watch football with you this Sunday. Like, if a team is 6-6, why do you think they're about to go 5-0?
Again, you have not heard me say they are going to go 5-0.
But do you think they're going to make the playoffs?
What you have heard me say is, what you also have not heard me say is, they are not going to go 5-0. And that's what you're saying. You are saying definitively, you're saying definitively, period, point blank, they're dead. And despite the fact that 5-0, they definitely make it, and 4-1, they could.
They're going to need some help.
But some of the help could be themselves.
Yeah, it would be, yeah.
I am surprised you have this quickly decided they're dead.
Do you really
I think they're in trouble. Yeah.
You think it's that? Listen, man, if they are 6-6 and then they need to go 4-1 or 5-0, and 2 of those games are against teams that they've already lost to, and injuries are trending in the wrong direction for them, and 2 of the 5 games they play 2 of the 3 best pass rushers, probably the 2 best pass rushers actually, Denver and Houston. It doesn't seem like a good spot for them to run the table.
It might not it might not be a good spot, but to say it's an impossible spot, I disagree with. And I do think what is true is, for one reason or another, this team's been one team at home, one team on the road. Their road games left are Tennessee and the Raiders. Their home games left are the important ones.
I expect them to win those games on the road.
And when I say this quickly, what I mean is this. As of, I think, the midway through the 4th quarter a week ago today, you probably thought the Chiefs were the most dangerous team in the AFC.
To be
and
very
you
clear,
thought
Nick,
they were going to the playoffs definitively a week ago. So that's that quickly.
Okay. I guess, but everybody reaches their breaking point. Is it not fair to say they're going to miss the playoffs, but if they make the playoffs, they're as scary as any team in the NFL? Because if they make the playoffs, they will then have rattled off 4 of 5 or 5 of 5. I don't think that those 2 thoughts are like in conflict with each other.
No. I don't think those 2 thoughts are necessarily in conflict. The one that's in conflict is that a team that could be the scariest team in the NFL, as it's presently constituted, has no shot of winning home games against C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert, and Bo Nix. That's what's in conflict, is that you're just writing them off as dead.
I'll tell you this right now.
Yeah.
I bet Houston plus 3.5.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you put your money where your mouth is on it, and Houston plus 3.5 is probably the right side in this game, getting those points. But I also know this. If they win this game, you are going to feel very conflicted Monday before your show when you're like, man, I'm a little scared of the Chiefs, but I have written them off as dead, so what do I do?
Justin Herbert will save you.
Yeah.
Very much want to talk about this with you. I thought I disagreed with basically every word you said earlier. On Giannis, glad he seemed to avoid a major injury last night.
Yeah, this is like the Sauce Gardner thing, by the way. It's the second one of these where it's like, oh my God, he blew his Achilles, and it's like, no, he's okay.
He's going to be fine. Yeah. So that was obviously huge. Bucks are the 10 seed in the East. Sham says it's going to be a 2 to 4 week injury. Question is, where do you want to see Giannis land?
And listen, my answer is, I think of the realistic trades, Atlanta's the one that makes the most sense for Milwaukee and gives him a chance to compete for a title. I think San Antonio is super interesting. Houston, I'd be nervous of accelerating the timetable, but that would be really fun. I think all of those are viable. The Knicks one to me is wholly unviable. The Warriors one is wholly unviable if I'm Milwaukee. I'm just not getting enough back. But I'm more interested in what you want to say, which is, well, where that
I think it is sacrilegious as a sports fan to want him to be anywhere other than Milwaukee.
Why?
Giannis is as important to basketball in Milwaukee as any player in the NBA is to the city in which they are currently playing, with the possible exception of Steph and Golden State. The NBA literally had to buy the Bucks arena and owned it, and they were going to leave Milwaukee, and then Giannis became a superstar, and they got the funding to build their new arena. He has one of the greatest closeout performances in NBA Finals history. He was the 15th pick, a skinny kid from Greece who goes to a small market and becomes a superstar, saves basketball in that town, has signed contract extension after contract extension after contract extension. They've brought in coach after coach. They've tried with, as Brew mentioned, Kuzma and Lillard, and they keep doing things to support Giannis. And Giannis, he opened up a Greek restaurant in Milwaukee. He owns a part of the Milwaukee Brewers. He is Milwaukee. His basketball hero is Kobe. He should be, Brew mentioned Dirk. It's a perfect one. He should be Duncan. He should be Kobe. He should be Dirk. He should be a star in one place for forever.
So, but here's the problem to me with that. Dirk didn't win until very late. And Dirk loved Dirk. I think Dirk's historically underrated. Dirk is not quite as great historically as Giannis. He's close, but he's not quite.
Sure, it's close.
Duncan won the whole time.
Yep.
He never had a reason to want to leave. Kobe won immediately, and then the moment it looked like they couldn't compete, He went on Stephen A's radio show. I was interning for it at the time.
Yeah, no, he almost
and
bought a house in Chicago.
Right, and asked for a trade.
I know.
That you are, I look, you're saying it's sacrilegious to want him to leave. If you're a Bucks fan, it's sad. If you're a basketball fan, you want to see him play in big games. Why would anyone, I don't buy this, oh, we need him in a major market. I don't give a damn about that in modern basketball. Joker is in Denver, it's not small market, but not major. Wemby's in San Antonio. Bron was in Cleveland. That doesn't matter to me at all. Giannis won in Milwaukee. But if you're a basketball fan, don't you want Giannis to be playing in April, May, and June?
I'm a romantic for the story in Milwaukee, and I'll also make this prediction. If he is traded, the Bucks are going to get like 40 cents on the dollar. And they will capitulate to a place where he demands and wants to go.
So I wouldn't do that. I would find a happy medium. I wouldn't send him to the Kings, but I would try to find somewhere where he can win and where you get a good return. But what do you think is, if you're a Bucks fan, yes,
you want to go down with the ship with Giannis.
Some probably do, and don't some want to have a chance at some point in the next decade to compete for a title again? Because you're not going to be, if you just stay the course, you're not competing for a title again. In Giannis's career.
Probably not, but maybe he wins another MVP. And he plays his whole career there. And you're the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's as relevant as you'll be, and you've got the best player in the history of your franchise. I don't think Bucks fans want to see him go.
Okay, fair enough.
I know. I'm with Bucks fans on this one.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.